Hello everybody. A huge welcome to episode 5 of my podcast. Before I start, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who has supported the previous episodes. It's hugely appreciated. I am at the moment trying to shape it all, so this is a really nice process, and I hope actually encouraging to some of you as well that you don't need to have things to be perfect in order to put them out into the world, and that you can change your mind. You know, things do evolve and you can change your mind. So I hope this is helping as well in that sense. Today I wanted to talk about purpose because it has been a huge topic that has constantly been coming up in my life. And I know that I've had quite a few conversations this week with lots of different people who are all in different phases of their life. And yet somehow it all still comes back to, what is my purpose? And it's really interesting because when I first started thinking about purpose, and I can't say that I thought about it a great deal in my youth, right? So in my earlier years, kind of went to university, left uni, got a job, thought I had to work really hard and show up and try and do my best and kind of work my way through my career ladder, whilst in the back of my mind having this huge itch to want to be an entrepreneur and run my own company and do my own thing. And I went through that whole process sort of just doing, thinking that actually that is what I was meant to do. I was just meant to show up in the world and I was meant to do. And then the older that I got and I stepped into my own power and I did start to create my own business and started to actually take more control of the life that I wanted to live, I thought that my purpose again was rooted in the doing, that I had to do something in order to be able to fulfill my purpose. And so when I went through that process, I put an awful lot of pressure on myself, thinking, right, I had to kind of forge forward, just do what I needed to do at whatever cost, because this was my purpose. I believed that this thing that I was doing was my purpose. And it resulted in things like burnout. And so when I then moved out of burnout and I got older, I started to think that maybe purpose was actually rooted in joy. And you may have often heard me say this, that number one, we all have our own gifts, and it is the gifts, the things that light you up, that help, make you feel excited and joyful and enthusiastic, and that you just feel like you need to be brave to do more of. They are gifts that have been given to you, because not everybody has those particular gifts, so that you can find a way to actually share them with the world. And I think what has happened is that because we are also rooted in needing to understand our why, because we've been led to believe that understanding our why means that we can jump lots of different hurdles. Our why is going to help us through the harder days, especially if you're building a business. The why is going to keep the momentum going. So we need to be really clear about our why is. So it's all about the why. But if you think about the why is deep rooted in the doing. Again, so you then come back to the same question. Well, how do I know what my why is? What is the thing that I'm meant to be doing in order to be able to deliver on my why? And your why is obviously closely associated with your purpose. And so once we moved through that, I started to question whether our purpose was actually around being joyful. That if we've got these gifts that light us up and we're able to commit ourselves to these gifts and being able to share them, in the world in the way that you best know how. So it could be on the great big platform, it could be in your smaller community, it could be within your friends and family. It didn't really matter how you express these gifts as long as it felt right for you. Bearing in mind that we all have our own stories and our own limiting beliefs and things, so we could actually be suppressing our gifts as well and not really allowing ourselves to kind of honour the fact that we have these wonderful gifts, and we could be ignoring the things that light us up. So then I started to think, well, is it really about joy then? Because do we actually really know or even give ourselves permission to actually feel true joy? And so something fell across my desk a little while ago, which I've been pondering. And as somebody who's got a defined head and defined angel in human design, when I look at my body graph, I was not surprised to discover that I have all these ideas, right? Constantly full of ideas for everybody else, which is always good fun. But also part of my design is this ability to take things on and kind of just ponder them as well. And obviously I've spent a lot of time studying human design and really thinking about how do I want to bring this up into the world. And I got caught up in kind of the doing again. What's the thing I must do to bring this into fruition that hopefully might be a little bit different or unique to what everybody else is doing? And I tied myself up into knots around this. And I see this a lot with people. If they're coming to me and they want to talk about their business, or whether it's about me supporting their business, or whether it's about coaching or mentoring or delivering training or doing anything like that, the one thing that we always seem to get back to is, well, what's the thing I'm meant to be doing? How am I meant to leave my legacy? How am I meant to leave an imprint on this world? How am I meant to kind of contribute? And by the way, not everybody has those great big grand scale plans that needs to kind of really, impact the world at kind of like a global level. We all impact in the space of the world that we occupy, right? So again, it could be with your immediate family, it could be with your immediate community, it could be about stepping out into the world and actually, yes, being on a global platform, but that's going to kind of reveal itself if you allow your life path to unfold. And that's a lot harder than it's a lot harder to do than it is, to say. So when I was thinking about purpose and actually, well, what is purpose and why are we so deep rooted in this doing, and why can't we just kind of be? It fell across my desk that your purpose is actually in the being and not the doing. And when I heard that, I thought, what on earth do they mean by in the being, right? Like, how can you just be? Because then I started thinking, well, if I'm just being something, great, but what am I doing in order to be? Right? So what am I doing? So it comes back to this doing thing, wanting to do something, wanting to get myself busy to actually create an impact, right? What's the doing that I should be, doing in order to be? And it's really very interesting because I started doing, like I would normally do, like reading and listening to different people talking and different podcasts, and just really contemplating all the information, and then trying to arrive at a place where it made sense to me. It didn't need to make sense to everybody else. It just needed to make sense to me. And I'm good with that, by the way. And then obviously if it's important enough and I feel inspired enough like I do today, then I'll want to share it, which is exactly what I'm doing. And so I think what it means is that if you are doing something, so I'm coming back to doing, so let me start again. It doesn't really matter what business you have or what your daily task is, right? Or how, it doesn't actually matter. It's the person that you are being when you are doing those things. That's what matters. So a little bit controversial, but let me explain what I mean, because I don't want to right, stop, not listen to Effie ever again. No. Just bear with me. I've come to realise that when I'm going to create an idea and put it out into the world, when I'm starting a new business, and I can feel the motions of that again, by the way, something is happening in the background for me. And at the moment, I haven't rushed to do anything. I've just sat in the stillness of it, despite having this urge to just want to do, right? Getting frustrated with myself because I want to do. And why am I waiting? Because I'm wasting time, right? And I've actually realised that all of those things are signals of my not self, my shadow self. And that the beauty is actually in the stillness, in being able to sit with those ideas, being able to sit and prepare this new concept, this thing that I want to do, this thing that lights me up, okay? And that when I am ready to launch it, I will know, because I have a knowingness within my design. And I have a knowingness that I trust, instincts that I trust, because I've been working on those for many, many years. To know that when the time is right, I will get some kind of instinct, some kind of nudge that will tell me to go. And if I ignore that nudge, then that's more to my peril, really. But if I act on that nudge, then I'm following the universe's flow, right? And when I am then in that flow and I am basically in momentum and I'm trying to kind of grow forward, and I'm trying to deliver a business or an idea, or I'm trying to help people, if I am doing it from a place of feeling inspired, if I am doing it from a place of feeling happy and excited, then that business, that concept is going to travel much further than if I'm doing it because I feel I have to. That if I'm doing it because I feel I have to make money, or that there's pressure on me to actually do something because I need to keep busy, right? that doesn't ground your business in the right kind of energy in order for it to start. We want to basically sow the seeds of our business in really happy, fertilized soil. Think of it like that, right? Seeds of our business ideas, we want to plant them in soil that is filled with joy and excitement and inspiration and feeling that is actually going to help some people, okay? And then what happens is that as you continue to nurture that idea and you get ready for it, maybe you need a website, maybe you need to go and get some training, maybe you need to kind of work on some products and you need to kind of master a technique, right? You need to be doing some stuff to kind of get ready. And then when you are ready, the universe will then send you a signal to then enable you to kind of go for launch. And what that signal is, please don't ask me because it will be different for everybody. I can tell you that with my previous business, I basically had never sewn before. I bought myself a sewing machine in the August. I created a teepee pattern on the floor of my living room with A4 sheets of paper sewed together. I hand sewed this teepee. I then made tons of mistakes. I tried to show it to somebody who didn't like it, and then I just left it. I put it up, let Alice play in it, had lots of fun with it. But I kept thinking about it and I kept trying to perfect the pattern and I kept trying to work on this idea, right? And I kept trying to teach myself how to sew and trying to understand all the safety measures and all the certifications a product like that would require. So I prepared myself, right? And then in the moment, I think it was in October, if I remember rightly, it was October, I suddenly just bolted up out of bed and I decided to launch a Facebook page and run a competition. And by the end of that day, I had 1,000 followers. Now, obviously, this was a while ago, it's back in 2012. But the reason I'm telling you this story is because that's exactly kind of, for me, the method in being able to launch something. And it was the same with the Handmade Association, actually. When I launched Handmade Association, I had this concept and this idea that I wanted to share the knowledge that I had inside of me and that I thought it would be helpful. And because everybody kept coming to me and asking me about business, I thought this would be a really good thing. And I wanted it to be in handmade because my previous business had been in handmade, right? So I wanted to kind of ground it in something that I knew a lot about, that I had experience in. And so I prepped the Handmade Association. I found the name. I started to create the website. I started to map out the course. I started to map out content for the community and all these kind of things. And then I waited. And then I had this like weird kind of nudge where I woke up and I just wanted to post content and create an Instagram account. And that account grew from 0 to 10,000 followers within, I think it was like 6 months. So it did it very, very quickly. And then the membership club kind of opened in the March and we had our members come in and, you know, it kind of grew and we had a little retreat and we did lots of different things for it. So again, it was me preparing my business idea, getting myself ready, not to the point that it was perfect, by the way, because it was far from it. You still, you know, but it's getting the basics so that the moment that you get that nudge to kind of go ahead and launch it, you're then ready to be able to hit the green button and then grow and learn from that point. And so your purpose is then in the being of that doing, right? So when you're then being that person who's kind of delivering that concept or that product or service into the world, if you are lit up and you feel inspired and you feel motivated and excited, okay, then that is the energy that you are then putting out into the world, which then attracts people through to you. Now, we're not all, you know, the thing is, challenge that we have is obviously we're human. We live in a very materialistic world with an awful lot of stuff that goes on around us. So maintaining that motivation, maintaining that excitement can be quite tricky. And especially when we're kind of deep rooted in community like Instagram, for example, where we're getting lots of people telling us, well, the algorithm's being a bit rubbish today. And, you know, things aren't how they used to be. And now we're in post-COVID and, you know, it's a bit of a nightmare and business is struggling. And we're kind of giving ourselves all these reasons. And the trouble is, the more, if we've got open centers in our human design chart, the likelihood is that you're then muddling your own thoughts and opinions with everybody else's, and you're absorbing it without even realizing that you're absorbing it. Because, you know, that's kind of just the general theme. And before you know it, you've adopted it and you're kind of running with the kind of general theme. And that is that everyone's feeling demotivated because the algorithm's gone to pot. Now, of course, there's always a truth in that because technology changes. But the way that we approach those changes, the way that we feel about those changes are things that we can control, are things that we are responsible for in ourselves. And that's one of life's lessons, is to kind of encourage us to be able to own those emotions and those feelings, to allow us to feel them without pushing them onto somebody else and giving them to somebody else to own. And then enabling us to kind of ride that emotional wave so we can then go through it, so that we can continue to grow and learn. And the wonderful thing, the beautiful thing about business in particular is that, I'm a massive believer that anybody can create a business if it's grounded in joy and inspiration and motivation and excitement. You will be challenged, right, during that journey. You will learn so many things. You will need your why to anchor you, so still in the doing. But when you come through it, it is actually the person that you become through that process is your purpose. That's what you put out into the world. That's the light that you shine. And then, of course, now we come back to the question of, well, how do I know what I'm going to be doing in order to do the being? Well, actually, it's the other way around. Try being the person you want to be. Try being the person you want to be and doing something that you love, and see where that leads you. And there is no framework, right? Because if there was a framework, we would all be kind of going, yep, we just follow A, B, and C, and that's fine. We'll get to our purpose. And believe me, I have tried. I've tried frameworks. I've tried everything, because the not knowing my purpose has been something that's haunted me for many years. And simply because within my human design, one of my purpose, the fear for me is actually failing my purpose, is my purpose, right? That's my fear. And so it has haunted me for so many years. And so sometimes when I come up with lots of ideas and people around me say, well, look, just do that. That's a great idea. And I'm like, no, it doesn't feel exciting to me. It doesn't feel the thing that gives me, the zing. I'm looking for the zing, right? I'm looking for the thing that kind of lights me up, and when that crosses my desk, I will know. And sometimes that requires us to be patient. And that's really hard when you need money, or you're watching everybody else kind of achieve their dreams and you're not any closer to yours. But actually, your beingness every single day, if you can support somebody around you, if you can show up, and do something that lights you up, you are then living your purpose. And then, of course, that will then eventually lead you to doing the thing that should fulfill you. And that can be many different things, by the way, because that changes over a lifetime. Who we are in our 0 to 30 years through to who we are from our 30 to 49 years, 49 and onwards is going to be very, very, very different. And we mature during those cycles of our life. And that maturing is part of our process of being able to take our experience and actually, I think, evolving who we be in the world, how we shine our light in the world. And the fact that we can do it now through the art of business, or through the art of creating a product, or supporting somebody, or creating something for, family, or something like that fills them with joy, is a true gift. And I think we need to kind of lean back more into trusting who we be, right? And trusting that is also enough. And you will find things to do that will create money and things. And depending on how you feel that you are supported, i.e. universe-wise, you'll never not have the things that you need. And if ever that happens, then you need to have a look at what that is reflecting back to you in terms of kind of what's it trying to show you, so that you can then overcome that obstacle, so you can then help somebody else overcome that obstacle in the future. Don't forget, all the things that we learn, all the experiences that we have in our life, they're brought to us for a reason. And I don't believe it's like tests. I don't like that language where we're not being tested. It's more that we're here to enjoy a life experience. And through that life experience, the person that we be through that life experience and how we show up in the world is a true testament to everybody around us and to ourselves. And I think a reflection of the chapters in our life, right? And how we want to kind of share those chapters with everybody and who we want to take along with us. And, we're not going to, not everyone's going to be a Jeff Bezos, right? And, build an Amazon. I'm not sure I want to. I'm not even sure if I like Jeff Bezos and if I want to know who he is, like any more details about him. But my point in the matter is that we're always looking at the human. We're always looking at the human story. And I think there is so much power in that. And I think our businesses are grounded in our human story. And they are just an outward reflection of what we want to put out into the world so that we can show up as our true selves. And that's what it means to be, be your purpose. And I think as well, it's the person that you are being while you're actually building that business or doing that thing that lights you up. And that's always going to be one of your biggest challenges to actually overcome. So that's for today's one. I felt quite inspired to talk about purpose. I feel like it's a huge thing. And it's really frustrating as well, by the way, because I so wanted people to tell me, well, if I read this chart, or if I go over here, or if I run this test, and if I do this, I'll be able to tell you what your purpose is. That's the story of your life. Your purpose is your story of your life. It's how you show up. It's how you overcome. It's how you share your light. And that's your purpose. And I think once I realised that, I suddenly just felt like a big, huge sigh of relief. So I hope that helps. I would very much love to hear from you and your thoughts, and whether any of this made sense to you. Just feel free to pop them down in the comments. And I look forward to talking with you a little bit more. Take care. See you soon. Bye.